You're watching The Penny Hardaway Show, presented by Cook's Pest Control.
Well, it's a new look for the Tigers almost across the board with players and the coaching staff, but the man in charge remains the same. We'll sit down with Penny, some of his new assistants, and some players and get you ready for a big week ahead at the Maui Invitational. A new season of The Penny Hardaway Show starts right now. Let's go.
The Penny Hardaway Show is presented by Cook's Pest Control. You don't have to live with pests. Call Cook's Pest Control and get a free quote today. Conway Services, the official HVAC partner of Tiger Athletics. Tennessee Lottery, turning dollars into dreams. Tiger Bookstore, the official merchandiser of Tiger Athletics. AutoZone. When you've got battery trouble, head to AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone. And supported by your Memphis area Toyota dealers.
Welcome, everybody, to the 7th year of the Penny Hardaway Show. We got a whole new team, and so far, the results are pretty good. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Woloshin.
And I'm Matt Infield. Let's hear from the man himself, Coach Penny, on the start of a new season. But first, to check in on the Tigers' latest contest on the road at San Francisco. Not a great start for Memphis. San Francisco began the game on an 8-0 run. Dons by 9 at the break, but we know the Tigers are a second-half team. Tyrese Hunter bullies his man inside for the bucket. Memphis takes a 32-31 lead. Our defensive player of the week is the man who said he's the best defensive player in the country. Musa Cisse, one of 4 blocks for him in the game. Our outstanding performer of the week, the big fella, Dane Danger, 18 points, 7 boards off the bench for the Illinois transfer. Final 3 minutes, tied at 56. The closer, PJ Haggerty, does it again. Clutch Trey gives Memphis a lead they would never relinquish. Tigers pick up another quality win, beating San Francisco 68-64.
It's the world of college basketball now. Every year, you got to build a brand new team, or so it seems. Also this year, you took on the burden of bringing in a whole new staff, pretty much. Talk a little bit about that. End of last year, we know we were disappointed to the total rebuild.
Yeah, very disappointed last year. Still to this day, the collapse that we had, it just still points at Caleb Mills, man. The style that we were playing, it was a style of play that we were playing in the non-conference, and we went bigger in the conference. Is that an excuse? No, we just didn't adjust well enough to finish well and to lose the first round to Wichita. That was even more hurtful. And we tried to battle back from that. Went out and got a great class. Came back into this year ready to roll and have a really good group that's more defensive minded.
Wanted to hit on that. You said last year that team was really talented offensively, but defensively not what you were looking for. Feels like early returns this year are this team is going to play really hard on the defensive end, kind of form that identity you're looking for. Is that a fair assessment so far?
Yeah, I mean, last year's offensive, power was, David Jones, Javon Quinley, and then when Naquan Tomlin came, those guys were explosive, man. They could put the ball in the basket, but with our schemes and the way we like to switch up defenses, they weren't really too interested in that part because they had never done it anywhere they've been. So when you come here, you got to know that's who we are. We're a disruptive team that likes to get out there on the defensive end. Not really an offensive-minded team. Offense is kind of like the dessert, but the defense is the meat and potatoes, man. That's the meal, and we didn't get that last year. So this year's team is definitely about that.
So talk about that. You're looking at pieces. I know you see PJ Haggerty. He was in our league. He was the second best scorer to David Jones.
Yep.
Where did the Tyrese Hunters and Okojis and all these other Kobe Rogers, how did they fit in with that defensive aspect you're talking about?
Well, the Baraka Okoji, I can't take credit for that one. Coach Stansbury knew about Baraka, and he was the guy that, recruited Baraka, and then Baraka and I became very close. Kobe Rogers being in the league with us already at Wichita gave us the blues, those games, those 3 games that we played against them. And the rest of that group, it's just, you knew when they got in the portal that those guys were gonna come in very serious about their work, understanding what they needed to do to help us win, understanding what happened last year with us and how we finished, and wanting to be a part of something special this year.
You said it was a point of emphasis. You wanted this whole team here by the beginning of June because you had never had it before. You got it. How big of a difference has that made?
It's made a big difference, even though everything is new and it's a new team. But being here in June, they've heard us repeatedly say the same things over, and we're starting to get through to them much sooner in the season than what we would have been. Because in the past, right around end of December, January, my team started to shift close to February because we hadn't had them in the summer. So they're kind of getting it together as the season is going on. This year, I think starting the season, we've been more prepared than we've ever been defensively and offensively.
And then in June, you're really making some big moves because you changed your staff. You do have Andre, I think was already here, Andre Turner. You're keeping the chief, Dwight Boyd. But then you bring in guys that we're going to talk to here during this season.
Yep.
Nolan Smith, Mike Davis.
Yep.
How did you bring those guys in? What was the mindset there?
Yeah, I think the overall mindset for me is going into my 7th year, I understood exactly who I needed to be and what I needed. And it was no knock. I'm still friends with the guys. It's always hard to have friends working for you because when you have to separate or split, it makes it really bad. And Faraji and Demetrius and Jamie are still good friends of mine. That was really tough to have to do. But I knew for me to grow, I had to do that. And, to bring Coach Mike in, who's been to a Final Four, going to a championship game, and to have Nolan, who obviously played in the Duke program, won a championship as a player and has been around championship teams as a coach, to bring that experience into this program was vital for me.
People have talked about rotations and substitution patterns in the past. This year, shorter rotations, guys playing more together. Is that more a product of the roster or an active change that you've made?
I would like to say it's the product of the roster because it's no knock to PJ Carter, who's coming off the bench, Musa, who's coming off the bench, Jared Harris, any of those guys, Demarion Yates, and none of those guys, there's no disrespect, but what's been working for us is the main guys have been taking over the game, and I've been trying to leave that mix out there. Whereas in the past, I've tried to press a little bit more, and you need more bodies because guys are getting tired.
You said something very interesting a few moments ago. You talked about your own personal growth. Where did you think, as you've reflected on your first 6 years now, where did you think that had to come from? Where did you have to change?
Yeah, I had to change me totally. How I recruited, how I approached this program from a leader's point of view, the responsibilities that I was taking on. Sometimes I felt like I had to do a lot more, and I had to bring guys in that I was comfortable with to give those responsibilities to. Again, no knock on anyone else, but for me, not blaming anyone for anything, it's just I had to grow from an organizational point of view, leadership point of view, and kind of take everything on my back and go, this is how I need to get it done, and make tough decisions while doing that.
Now, last year, that team was really motivated in non-conference play, maybe took conference play a little bit lightly, and it showed in the results. The messaging to this year's team about taking every game seriously, especially once you get into conference play, what's that been like so far?
Yeah, that's been the most weird thing to me, and I get it because in the non-conference, we're playing all these Power 5 schools, and then you play all those schools, and then all of a sudden you play a school in our conference. Might be a Rice, might be a UTSA, might be a Charlotte. These guys are coming from Big 12, Big 10. They used to playing against these big teams, and then when they play those smaller teams, they just, they let their guards down. And those teams come back with a chip on their shoulders because they want to beat us. Every game is packed. We're the T-shirt game for everybody. So it's not a normal game for those teams. They could have just lost to a team that was ranked 235th in the country. But when it comes to us, they're going to play like the number 1 team in the country. We're everybody's championship game. So I think my guys this year understand that more than other teams.
There's a lot of new faces around here and one returnee. We'll sit down with a couple of coaches and players coming up next.
You're watching the Penny Hardaway Show, presented by Cook's Pest Control.
Welcome back to the Penny Hardaway Show. This coaching staff has been retooled with some big-time names in the college basketball world, including Mike Davis and Nolan Smith. Let's sit down with them. All right, Mike, obviously you have a wealth of experience in this game. What brought you to Memphis here and now?
I have an opportunity to work with Coach. It's an honor for me. Anytime you have one of the greatest players in the history of basketball, his mind is equal to his ability as a player. And when I got here, everything I thought was true. Coach is really good with the X's and O's and defense and strategies. And so, believe it or not, I've been in this game for a long time, and I'm learning on a daily basis. So I wanted to be in a basketball atmosphere and work for a basketball coach.
Talk me through those early conversations with Penny. Why did you think that your style, what you know, would match up with what he's trying to bring to the table?
It's not my style. I came to work for him, and I think a lot of assistant coaches don't understand. Sometimes they want to implement their basketball. And I told Coach after being around him for about 3 or 4 days, he don't need any help basketball-wise. He just needs help delivering his message to not just the players, but the other assistant coaches. And so that's my job, and that's my duties, is to make sure I focus on the non-negotiables and the way he wants to coach.
Really early on, but you've been around these guys for a little bit now. What are just your general early impressions?
We could be really good if they follow the non-negotiables, the things that Coach talk about on a daily basis. Sometimes players want to play, and Coach has been around for so long from a basketball standpoint. His understanding of the game is different from most coaches and players. And so if we ever can see the game through his eyes, it can be something special here.
Nolan Smith, obviously really recognizable name to college basketball fans out there. I want to start out with, how did you end up at Memphis, here and now on this staff?
Well, Coach Penny and I have had a relationship for quite some time now, so when the opportunity presented itself for me to come here, it was a no-brainer just to join such a winning coach, a winning program, a winning culture, to be a part of that. I love winning. I'm obsessed with winning just like Coach Penny is, so it was a no-brainer to get down here with the Memphis Tigers.
Talk me through the roots of your relationship with Penny and how far back that goes.
About 4 years, I think, just through two guys who obviously played in the NBA. You always kind of know everybody, you shake hands, you see each other out on the road recruiting. But we connected 3 years ago when I was on the table before and trying to get down here, but Coach K ultimately was like, "Nah, I need you here." So I know everybody saw the rumblings way back, but you know, it was right on time. The timing of this one was just perfect, and here I am.
Why did you feel like the fit on this staff was right?
Coach's style of play, obviously who he is as a person, and I heard and I know now he's a great human being first and foremost. But then when I was studying his style of play, the way that we press, I can say we now, but when I was looking out, I was watching. But now the way we press, the way he gets after teams, the way he defends, that mentality was something that something I've always embodied in myself, my own thought of the game and the way I picture the game and how it should be played. I loved it. I fell in love with it. It's the way I want to play. It's the way I want to assist Coach Penny in coaching. And yeah, it was a no-brainer just to join that and to be able to coach these guys now with that same intensity that Coach has and echo what he's teaching to our guys. It was easy to say, man, I want to be a part of that.
Every assistant kind of has a different role, different responsibilities. Talk me through yours.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously as a former guard, I work heavily with the guards. And then from there, it's really just assisting coach defensively, offensively. Being there, making sure these players are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, there is one player back from last year. That would be Nick Jourdain. Plus, the Tigers added a big-time scoring guard in the portal in PJ Haggerty. Let's sit down with both of them.
Nicholas, did you ever look around like this summer and go, where the heck is everybody?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, definitely crazy having a whole new team. My first time experiencing it, but it's been pretty cool so far.
Being the one returning guy, you know how Penny operates, the standard of the program and whatnot. How much of an onus have you put on yourself to pass that along to everyone else?
Yeah, I think just helping translate his coaching and helping everyone understand him and really pushing everyone to be at the level he likes, because he likes everything at a certain high level all the time. So just trying to help them understand the culture here.
This is tough, but I think fans often, it's just human nature, wonder, what last year, we know what happened. This year, how different is this team? What's different about this team?
Well, I saw this question coming. I know everyone's gonna ask this because, I mean, we're playing a lot different. We're playing with a lot more heart, a lot more effort, a lot more hard work. I think it stems from a lot of things, and this is nothing against the guys from last year, but I think just naturally, like I said before, that heart they have, where we're just, a lot of times during games we decide we're not going out like that. Instead of submitting and laying down, it's like we're like, no, we're gonna go out. If we're going out, we're going out with a fight. But I also think being with each other since freaking June has been super helpful. Like building that relationship and having open runs. Like we've been in situations in practice where we've been down, we've come back, or we've been up and we held the lead. Like we went through all the situations with each other in practice. So now you see it in games and you see us, instead of spreading apart, we're coming together.
How much are you looking forward to Maui and the rest of this non-conference schedule to kind of see what you guys are made of before conference play starts?
Definitely super excited for Maui. We get a chance to play against UConn, back-to-back champs. I mean, if you're not up for that game, like, you know, something's wrong with you, so.
Coach just talked about how he really took notice of you in Tulsa second half against the Tigers last year. You almost brought him back. When did you take notice of becoming a Memphis Tiger?
After the season, I heard rumors about it, you know, maybe like pursuing me like after the season. But then just waited for the call. Coach Penny called me, a couple other coaches called me. And I just waited through the process and they said how much they wanted me, took a visit, now I'm here.
As a guard, when you're playing for a legendary guard like Penny, how much does that weigh into the process?
A lot, you know, Penny was a great NBA player. You know, I want to get there, you know, step by step, but I'm in Memphis playing under him, trying to learn from him what he knows, just feeding off knowledge from what he knows.
The thing that most impressed me about you last year to this year, your ability to draw fouls, and then you're a really good free throw shooter when you get to that line. You're the best guy at drawing fouls I've seen since Kendrick Davis. There is a connection between you and Davis. Talk about that. I think the fans would be interested.
Oh yeah, actually, when I was like, I think I was like 5th grade, he's a little older than me. He played with TJ Ford basketball team, and I played with him too growing up. So I practiced with him, play against him actually. I seen how fast and good he was. I was like, man, I'm trying to get there, like, feel me, to his level. So I just worked out, stuff like that. I actually seen him play against Darren Fox when they played in high school. So seeing that type of like pace and how good they were made me like want to become a better player.
You want a test of how good you are early in the season? How about playing the back-to-back national champions? The Tigers open the Maui Invitational against UConn. We'll preview that entire trip next.
You're watching the Penny Hardaway Show, presented by Cook's Pest Control. Let's take a look at the AutoZone road ahead.
Right now, in the middle of maybe the longest trip I can ever remember, 9 days away. And what you're chewing off in this Maui tournament, starting with UConn.
Yeah, who made this schedule?
Yeah.
The guy that made this schedule is crazy. But yeah, that's what we want. We want to measure ourselves against the best in the country. And how do you not measure yourself against the back-to-back national champions in the very first game? We didn't choose that game, but we're happy we're in that game because the first game will be the best game to play those guys.
Now, speaking of that, it's 2 exhibition games, Alabama and North Carolina. I think a lot of people think those are going to be 2 of the best teams in the country as well. How much of this trip is a measuring stick to see how much you've grown since those games?
Yeah, I think it'll be a measuring stick for those 2 games, how much we've grown, but also how good are we in certain areas as far as like, you know, the boxing out and execution and playing through contact, because you can't expect any fouls, right? So let's see how tough we are. Let's see how we lead there. We'll go there one way, let's see how we lead. So I'm looking forward to that.
That was tonight's AutoZone Road Ahead. AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination and official sponsor of Tiger Athletics. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Maui, beaches and basketball, you can't beat that. We're back with a wrap in just a minute.
You're watching the Penny Hardaway Show, presented by Cook's Pest Control.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
The Penny Hardaway Show is presented by Cook's Pest Control. You don't have to live with pests. Call Cook's Pest Control and get a free quote today. Conway Services, the official HVAC partner of Tiger Athletics. Tennessee Lottery, turning dollars into dreams. Tiger Bookstore, the official merchandiser of Tiger Athletics. AutoZone. Got a check engine light? AutoZone will check it for free with the free Fix Finder service. Available at every store. Get in the zone, AutoZone. And supported by your Memphis area Toyota dealers. This copyrighted telecast is an exclusive presentation of Learfield under the broadcasting rights granted by the University of Memphis. Reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the expressed written consent of the University of Memphis and Learfield.